How many times do we think life has arisen independently around the universe? Our present state of knowledge allows us to countenance all extremes. It could, on the one hand, be true that life has arisen only once, anywhere in the universe. Or the other extreme, it could be that the universe is simply teeming with life.
That's not what the evidence indicates. The evidence indicates a prejudice against life. It hasn't created a second life form on planet Earth, no evidence of a competing DNA molecule, even one amino acid change. Obviously, the pattern is sort of rigid. We can't duplicate it. On Earth, it's had plenty of time to duplicate it, hasn't. And there's no evidence of any intelligence in the universe anyway. Billion-year head start on us, 2 billion, 4 billion, 5 billion year head start, and they're not there. They're not making any noise. So teeming with life, I think, is a bogus argument. Yeah, it's an open question whether there is, but the question is slanted by the fact that we can't make one, and there's no evidence of more than one ever developing on planet Earth. So that's a pretty strong bias towards very rare chemistry. And you should be able to say that, Mr. Dawkins. You really should. So anyway, he basically says, this is all just flight of fantasy for me. I like to believe there's a life in the universe, blah, blah, blah. So he doesn't make any scientific claims. He just says he personally likes the idea of it. I would find it very disappointing if we were to learn that there's, 50-foot cockroaches on some planet somewhere ripping little sentient beings to pieces and gobbling them up. I don't see what there is to celebrate about that. Sounds pretty awful and nasty to me.
My gut feeling, for what it's worth almost nothing.
That's fair, okay? At least he's not saying this is a scientific observation, so I'll grant him that. But, scientists shouldn't do this, shouldn't talk about what they gut feel or what they want to be true. They should be talking about what the evidence demonstrates, and the evidence dominates on this subject. And it dominates pointing to the fact that reproducing DNA, cellular reproduction, is not common chemistry. What's the point of this? I just, let's just make up some kind of three-pig story to fit the facts. So we have a bucket of gruel. And so now we're just going to make up a story and say, okay, it belongs to the 3 pigs and they're going to take it home. So you're just going to make up some crap, to create an edifice around this thing. For what? Why? Why are you bothering with this nonsense? We don't need to explain the universe. We can't explain the universe. You're never going to explain the universe because you're never going to be able to analyze the universe before the Big Bang. It just isn't possible.
Something had to come before DNA. The most promising candidate at the moment is the so-called RNA world theory. If you think about it, DNA is very good at replication, protein is very good at being an enzyme, and each of them is lousy at all the other things. Protein is a hopeless replicator because the protein molecule is all tied up in a knot. Therefore, the amino acid sequence that defines the protein cannot be read out in the way that you could read out the sequence of DNA.
The first reproducing cell was a perfect storm mixture of more than one thing.